Introduction: the concept of the inner citadel, discipline as a form of freedom. The wind off the Danube River was more than just cold. It felt like a knife cutting through the thick wool of the tents. Outside, the world was on fire. A plague was sweeping through the camps, killing soldiers by the thousands. To the north, angry tribes were waiting for the river to freeze so they could cross and destroy everything in their path. Inside the largest tent sat the most powerful man on earth. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome, but tonight he didn't feel like a god. He felt like a tired old man. His bones ached. His head throbbed. Everything he had worked for was sliding toward a cliff. One wrong move, one moment of giving up, and the entire Roman Empire might fall apart. He looked at his bed. It was warm. It offered an escape from the noise of the dying soldiers and the stress of the coming war. He could just close his eyes and let the generals handle it. He could let the chaos win. But he didn't. Instead, Marcus reached for a piece of parchment and a pen. He didn't write a law or a command to his army. He wrote to himself. He reminded himself that he had a job to do. He told himself that he had to get up in the morning, not because he wanted to, but because he was a human being. He realized that his discipline was the only thing standing between order and total ruin. That night, Marcus Aurelius stayed at his desk. He found his inner citadel, a place of strength inside his own mind that no enemy could reach. Because he didn't quit that night, he was able to lead his people through the darkest time they had ever known. He didn't save the empire with a sword. He saved it with his will. The invisible battle. Most of us will never lead an army. We don't have to worry about tribes crossing a frozen river. But we all know what it feels like to sit in that cold tent. You know the feeling. It's 10 p.m. and you're staring at a screen. Your eyes are dry. Your brain feels like it's filled with thick fog. You have a list of things you were supposed to finish today, but you only checked off 2 small items. The big important work is still sitting there, mocking you. You feel like a passenger on a train that's going too fast. The train is your life. Emails are flying at you. Notifications are popping up on your phone. People are asking for your time. You spend your whole day reacting to things. You're putting out fires, but you never actually build anything new. By the time you finally have a moment to breathe, you're too tired to do what matters. So you sit on the couch. You scroll through your phone for 2 hours. You watch videos of people you don't know doing things you don't care about. You tell yourself you'll start fresh tomorrow. But tomorrow looks exactly like today. This is the discipline gap. It is the distance between the person you are right now and the person you know you could be. It is a painful place to live. It feels like you are wearing a heavy coat that you can't take off. You have big dreams, but they are buried under a mountain of small, annoying tasks and bad habits. The reactive responder. If you feel this way, you aren't lazy. You are just a reactive responder. A reactive responder is someone who lets the world decide what their day looks like. If your phone pings, you look. If someone sends an email, you answer it immediately, even if it's not important. You are a slave to your impulses. When a task gets hard, your brain shouts, "Look at something easy," and you find yourself checking the news or opening a bag of chips. This way of living creates a constant hum of anxiety in the back of your mind. It's a low-level fear that you are falling behind. You feel like you are failing your boss, your family, and most importantly, yourself. You might have bursts of energy where you work hard for 3 days, but then you crash and burn for a week. This cycle is exhausting. It makes you feel like you aren't in control of your own hands. It makes you doubt your own talent. You start to think, maybe I'm just not the kind of person who can be successful. Maybe I'm just messy, and that's how I'll always be. That thought is a lie. Discipline is not a gift you are born with. It is a muscle you build. And like any muscle, it can be grown from nothing if you have the right plan. The promise of the architect. The goal of this book is to turn you from a reactive responder into a proactive architect. An architect doesn't just show up to a pile of wood and start hammering. They have a blueprint. They know exactly where the walls go. They work with a purpose. When you become a proactive architect, your day changes. You wake up with a sense of order. You know what your most important task is, and you have the focus to sit down and do it. You don't get pulled away by every little noise or notification. You have built a fortress around your attention. Imagine what it would feel like to finish your work by 5 p.m. and actually be done. No checking one last thing at the dinner table. No guilt following you around like a shadow. You are fully present with your friends. You are fully present with your hobbies. You can look in the mirror and know that you did exactly what you said you were going to do. This isn't just about being a better worker. It's about being a better person. It's about being the person who can be trusted. When you have self-discipline, you trust yourself. That trust is the foundation of a happy life. We are going to use a blend of old wisdom and new science to get you there. We will look at the lives of people like Benjamin Franklin and Marcus Aurelius, but we will also look at how your brain is wired. We will learn how to hack your habits so that doing the right thing becomes easier than doing the wrong thing. Meet Leo Vance. To see how this works in the real world, we are going to follow the story of a man named Leo Vance. Leo is 34 years old and lives in Chicago. He works at a digital marketing agency as a senior account manager. On the outside, Leo looks like he has it all figured out. He's charismatic, he's good at talking to clients, and he has a bright future. But Leo has a secret. He is drowning. Leo's life is defined by what he calls the 11 p.m. scramble. His workdays are a blur of meetings and shallow work. He spends 8 hours answering emails and chatting with coworkers, and then at 5 p.m., he realizes he hasn't done his real work. He hasn't written the reports. He hasn't built the strategies. So Leo stays late. Or he goes home, eats a quick dinner, and opens his laptop at the kitchen table. His wife Sarah is 6 months pregnant with their first child. She sits on the couch watching him work, feeling lonely. Leo feels a deep sense of shame. He wants to be the kind of husband who is there, but he feels like he's always behind. Leo believes a dangerous myth. He tells himself, I'm a creative soul. I can't follow a schedule. Schedules kill my spark. I work best when the pressure is high and the deadline is tomorrow. But the pressure is starting to break him. He's tired all the time. He's gaining weight because he only eats takeout while he works. He feels like a fraud. He's afraid that when the baby comes, he will be a father who is always looking at a screen instead of his daughter's face. Leo is at a breaking point. He knows he can't keep living like this for another 20 years. He needs a system, but he doesn't know where to start. He is the perfect example of someone with a collapsed arch. The Keystone Arch. Throughout this book, we are going to talk about a concept called the Keystone Arch. Think of an old stone bridge. It's made of many different rocks, all leaning against each other. But in the very center, at the top, there is one stone called the keystone. If you pull that stone out, the whole bridge falls into the river. If that stone is strong, the bridge can hold the weight of 10 trucks. Your life is an arch. Your habits, the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you work, are the stones. Most people try to fix their lives by moving all the stones at once. They try to start a diet, a workout plan, and a new work schedule all on the same Monday. By Wednesday, they have given up. We aren't going to do that. We are going to find your keystone habit. This is the one specific behavior that holds everything else in place. For some, it's waking up at a certain time. For others, it's planning the day the night before. Once we set that stone, the rest of your life becomes much easier to manage. The 20-year horizon. We are also going to look through a lens called the 20-year horizon. Most procrastination happens because we only think about how we feel right now. Right now the bed is warm. Right now the chocolate cake tastes good. Right now, the phone is more fun than the spreadsheet. But what about the you of 20 years from now? If you keep your current habits for the next 2 decades, where will you be? Will you be the leader you want to be? Will you have the health you want? Will you have the relationships you want? Self-discipline is simply a gift you give to your future self. It is a way of saying, I care about the person I am becoming more than I care about being comfortable for the next 10 minutes. The roadmap ahead. We have a lot of ground to cover. We will start by looking at why our brains are actually wired to sabotage us. We'll learn from a famous writer who had to lock his clothes away just to finish a book. We'll see how a 19th century engineer saved London from a plague, not by asking people to be better, but by building a better system. We will talk about the power of the morning. You'll see how Benjamin Franklin used a simple list of questions to dominate his day. We will face the resistance, that voice in your head that tells you to quit, and learn how Theodore Roosevelt used hard work to beat back his own sadness. You will learn how to single-task your discipline. Instead of trying to change everything, you'll learn the 13 virtues method for making progress that actually sticks. We will look at how your environment, the rooms you live in and the people you talk to, is secretly pulling the strings of your life. Finally, we will talk about identity. We'll see how a man like Frederick Douglass used the power of his own mind to free himself. You'll learn that true discipline doesn't come from what you do, but from who you are. By the time you reach the end of this book, you won't just have a list of life hacks. You will have a new way of walking through the world. You will be the captain of your own soul. Leo Vance is sitting at his desk in Chicago right now. The clock says 10:45 p.m. The screen is blank. His phone is buzzing. He's about to make a choice. He can keep doing what he's always done, or he can start building his arch. You are standing in the same place. It's time to stop being a passenger. It's time to stop reacting. It's time to start building. The first stone is waiting. Let's begin. Introduction. The stars over the Danube River were cold and bright. It was the year 175 AD, and the world was falling apart. Outside the heavy flaps of a leather tent, the Roman army was asleep in the mud. Thousands of men waited for the sun to rise so they could go back to war. They were tired. They were hungry. A sickness was spreading through the camp, killing more soldiers than the enemy ever could. Inside the tent, one man sat alone. A small oil lamp flickered on a wooden table, casting long, shaky shadows against the walls. This man was the most powerful person on the planet. He was the Emperor of Rome. His name was Marcus Aurelius. He could have been sleeping in a silk bed in a golden palace. He could have spent his nights drinking the finest wine and eating the best food. Instead, he was here, on the edge of the wild woods, surrounded by death and chaos. The room was silent. You could hear the distant sound of a horse stamping its foot in the dirt. You could hear the wind whistling through the trees. Marcus picked up a pen. He didn't write about how much he hated the cold, or how scared he was of the war. He didn't complain about his aching bones, or the weight of the crown. He wrote to himself. He wrote about how to be a better person. He wrote about how to stay calm when everyone else was screaming. He wrote about why he needed to get out of bed in the morning, even when he didn't want to. He knew that the only thing he could truly control was his own mind. He called this his inner citadel. It was a fortress inside his heart that no enemy could ever break into. Even as an emperor, he struggled with the same things we do today. He looked at the blank page and had to force himself to focus. He had to battle the urge to stay under his warm blankets. He had to fight the voice in his head that told him to just give up and let someone else handle the mess. But he stayed in that chair. He kept writing. He stayed disciplined because he knew that without it, he was just a leaf blowing in the wind. The gap between who we are and who we want to be. Most of us feel like that leaf. We wake up and the day hits us like a wave. Before we can even rub the sleep from our eyes, we are checking our phones. We see an email that makes us feel stressed. We see a social media post that makes us feel like we aren't doing enough. We see news that makes us feel worried. By 9 a.m., we are already tired. We aren't making choices, we are just reacting. We are reactive responders. We spend our lives putting out small fires that other people started. We answer texts. We sit through meetings that don't matter. We scroll through videos for an hour and then wonder where the time went. There is a deep, quiet ache that comes from this way of living. It is the feeling that your life is a runaway train, and you are just a passenger looking out the window as your dreams fly by. You know you have potential. You know there is a version of you that is focused, calm, and successful. But that person feels miles away. There is a wide gap between the person you are today and the person you know you could be. This gap isn't there because you are lazy. It isn't there because you aren't smart enough. It's there because you haven't built your own inner citadel. You are trying to navigate a stormy ocean without a map or a rudder. You are relying on feeling like it, but feelings are like the weather, they change every 5 minutes. Discipline is not a punishment. It is not about being a robot or never having fun. True discipline is the highest form of self-love. It is the ability to keep a promise to yourself. When you say you will work on your business, you do it. When you say you will be present with your family, you do it. Discipline is the bridge that carries you across the gap to the life you actually want to live. The 11 p.m. scramble. Let's look at Leo Vance. Leo is 34 years old and lives in a busy apartment in Chicago. He is a senior account manager at a digital marketing agency. If you met him at a party, you'd think he had it all figured out. He is funny, he wears nice clothes, and he talks fast. But if you saw him at 10:45 p.m. on a Tuesday, you would see a different story. Leo's office is on a high floor of a glass building. The cleaning crew has already finished the other desks. The only light in the room comes from Leo's computer screen and the street lights below. His desk is a mess. There are 3 empty coffee cups, a half-eaten sandwich in a greasy wrapper, and stacks of papers he hasn't looked at in weeks. His eyes are red and burning. He is staring at a PowerPoint presentation that is due tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. He has had 2 weeks to work on it. But instead of doing the hard work, he spent his days in the shallow water. He answered hundreds of emails. He went to meetings about other meetings. He helped his coworkers with their problems because it felt easier than facing his own. His phone vibrates on the desk. It's a text from his wife, Sarah. She is 6 months pregnant with their first child. "Are you coming home soon?" the text says. "I saved some dinner for you." Leo feels a sharp pang of shame in his chest. He loves Sarah. He wants to be the kind of husband who is home for dinner. He wants to be the kind of father who isn't always distracted by a buzzing phone. But right now he is trapped. He has to finish this work or he might lose his job. He is stuck in what he calls the 11 p.m. scramble. He realizes that he isn't failing because he is too busy. He is failing because he is unstructured. He has no system. He has no routine. He is a talented man who is drowning in his own lack of focus. As he types the next slide, he thinks about the man he will be in 20 years. Will that man still be sitting in a dark office, missing his child's life? Or will he be someone who took control of his time? Leo is at his lowest point. He is tired of being a passenger on the runaway train. He is ready to become the architect of his own life. The promise of a new way. This book is the map that Leo needs. It is the map that you need. We are going to stop the start-stop cycle. You know how it goes. You get motivated on a Sunday night, you work hard for 3 days, and then by Thursday you are back on the couch, scrolling through your phone and feeling like a failure. We are going to replace that cycle with consistency over intensity. You don't need a massive burst of energy. You need a system that works even when you are tired. You need a way to handle the brain fog and the decision fatigue that makes you want to give up. By the time you finish these pages, you will no longer be a reactive responder. You will be a proactive architect. You will move through your day with a plan. You will have the focus to do deep work that actually moves the needle in your career. You will be able to shut off your work brain so you can be fully present with the people you love. Most importantly, you will trust yourself again. This isn't just a bunch of nice ideas. Everything in this book is based on how your brain actually works. We are going to look at the habit loop and how to use it to make good choices feel automatic. We are going to learn from people like Benjamin Franklin, who turned himself from a disorganized printer into a world-famous inventor by using a simple daily schedule. We are going to look at the science of the marshmallow test and why our brains want small rewards right now instead of big rewards later. We will learn how to pre-commit to our goals so that when we are tempted to quit, the door is already locked. The journey ahead. The path to self-discipline is like building an arch. Every habit is a stone. If you just throw stones in a pile, you get a mess. But if you place them carefully, they create something strong that can hold up a lot of weight. In the chapters to come, we will lay those stones one by one. We will start by looking at why we sabotage ourselves and how to stop it. We will learn the 5 laws of how habits are formed so you can stop fighting your own biology. We will master the first hour of the day because how you start determines how you finish. We will face the resistance, that voice in your head that hates progress, and learn how to quiet it. We will look at how to change your surroundings so that doing the right thing becomes the easiest thing. We will even learn how to build mental toughness for those days when life gets really hard. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the secret to a good life is to be your own master. He knew that if you don't lead yourself, someone else or something else will. Your phone will lead you. Your boss will lead you. Your cravings will lead you. It is time to take the wheel. It is time to bridge the gap. Whether you are a student, a parent, a worker, or a leader, the tools of discipline are the same. They are the keys to the prison cell we have built for ourselves with our own distractions. Leo is still in that office in Chicago, staring at his screen. But he is about to learn that there is another way to live. He is about to discover that he doesn't have to be a slave to the deadline or the distraction. And so are you. The sun is about to rise on the Danube. The emperor is putting down his pen. The battle is waiting, but he is ready because he has mastered himself. Let's begin. 1. Why do we sabotage our own potential? Victor Hugo was trapped. It was the summer of 1830 in Paris, and the famous writer was facing a disaster of his own making. A year earlier, he had promised his publisher a brand new book. He even gave it a title, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The publisher agreed to the deal, but Hugo didn't start writing. Instead of sitting at his desk, he spent months hosting fancy dinners, visiting friends, and starting other small projects that didn't really matter. He was the king of doing it later. By September, his publisher had run out of patience. A letter arrived at Hugo's door with an ultimatum. The book had to be finished by February of the next year. That gave him less than 6 months to write a massive novel from scratch. If he failed, he would owe a huge amount of money that he didn't have, and his reputation as a great writer would be ruined. Most people would have spent that afternoon panicking. Hugo did something much stranger. He walked to his closet and pulled out all of his fancy clothes. He grabbed his best suits, his hats, and his walking shoes. He handed them to a servant and told the man to lock them away in a big chest. He gave strict orders: do not give these clothes back until the book is done. Hugo was left with nothing to wear except a huge, gray knitted shawl that reached all the way to his toes. He looked ridiculous. He looked like a giant ball of wool. Because he had no real clothes, he couldn't go to parties. He couldn't go for walks in the park or visit his friends. He was a prisoner in his own house, and his only cellmate was his desk. He bought a giant bottle of ink and sat down to work. Since he had removed the option to leave, he had no choice but to write. He finished the book weeks before the deadline. The war between your two brains. What Hugo went through is something we all feel every single day. The ancient Greeks had a word for it, akrasia. It means acting against your own better judgment. It is that strange feeling when you know you should be doing homework or cleaning your room, but you find yourself staring at a wall or playing a game on your phone instead. You want to do the work, but a part of your brain simply refuses to move. Scientists call this hyperbolic discounting. That is a big name for a simple problem. Your brain has two different ways of looking at rewards. One part of your brain lives in the future. It wants you to have a great career, a healthy body, and a lot of money in the bank. This future self knows that writing a book or studying for a test is a good idea. The other part of your brain lives only in the now. This present self doesn't care about next year or even next week. It wants a cookie right now. It wants to watch one more video right now. It wants to stay in a warm bed instead of going for a run. When you set a goal, you are talking to your future self. It's easy to promise that you will start a diet on Monday or finish a project by Friday. But when Monday actually arrives, your present self takes over the steering wheel. The present self looks at the salad and says, "That looks boring. Let's have pizza instead." The now brain almost always wins because the reward is right in front of its face, while the reward for the future brain is miles away. Victor Hugo knew he couldn't trust his now brain. He knew that if he had his fancy suits, he would convince himself that one little party wouldn't hurt. By locking his clothes away, he made the now choice, going out, impossible. He forced his two brains to finally agree on the same path. The secret of the marshmallow. In the late 1960s, a scientist named Walter Mischel wanted to see how this battle between now and later worked in children. He brought kids into a room and sat them down at a table. On the table was a single marshmallow. He told the kids he had to leave for a few minutes. If the child waited until he came back without eating the marshmallow, they would get a second one. If they ate it right away, they wouldn't get another. You can imagine the struggle. Some kids covered their eyes so they wouldn't have to look at the treat. Some licked the table around the marshmallow. Others didn't even wait for the door to close before they shoved the candy into their mouths. The most interesting part of the study happened years later. The researchers followed these kids as they grew up. They found that the children who were able to wait for the second marshmallow, the ones who could choose later over now, had better grades, lower levels of stress, and were generally more successful in their jobs. This isn't because some people are born good and others are born lazy. It is because self-discipline is like a muscle. The more you practice choosing the future reward over the immediate one, the stronger that muscle becomes. But even the strongest muscles get tired. If you rely only on your willpower to get through the day, you will eventually run out of gas. Leo's Saturday morning struggle. Leo Vance sat in a crowded coffee shop in Chicago, staring at his laptop screen. It was 10 a.m. on a Saturday. He had told his wife, Sarah, that he just needed 2 hours to catch up on some work so they could enjoy the rest of the weekend together. Sarah was 6 months pregnant, and Leo felt a constant weight of worry about the future. He wanted to be a great dad. He wanted to get that promotion to director so they wouldn't have to worry about money. But for the last 45 minutes, Leo hadn't typed a single word. He had started by opening his email, but then he saw a notification on LinkedIn. A guy he went to college with had just been promoted to vice president at another agency. Leo felt a sting of envy. He clicked the profile. Then he clicked on another. Soon he was down a rabbit hole, looking at the vacation photos of people he hadn't spoken to in 10 years. He felt a familiar knot of guilt in his stomach. He knew he was wasting time. He knew that every minute he spent scrolling was a minute he was stealing from his family. But he couldn't seem to stop. His phone was sitting right next to his hand, and every time it buzzed, his now brain screamed for him to pick it up. Leo looked at the empty white screen of his PowerPoint presentation. He felt like he was in a thick fog. He wasn't failing because he didn't care. He was failing because